Hello and welcome to the high-speed Monza circuit for the 7th round of the 2022 Formula Sim Racing World Championship. I'm Edward Hunter and here's the news roundup going into the race. British driver Adam Rainey was ruled out of competing in Italy due to a pedal issue. In his place, NetRex have called upon the capable services of Dutch pro driver Danny van den Eet to sub in for Rainey. Super Venturi were absent from the starting grid in Monza, with all 4 drivers unavailable, leading the team to withdraw. The Finnish squad aims to return for the next round at the Asia Grand Prix. Finally, Bulgarian Viktor Ivanov fills the second Unicorns of Love seat for the second race in a row. Regular driver Carlos Martin is set to return for round 8 after undergoing an operation. For the second race in a row is Alex Siebel on pole position for Red Bull. At the start, Noah Roivers made a move around the outside of Janos Braksok for 4th, whilst championship leader Colin Spork was already fighting back from a poor qualifying. Braksok then saw Jan Vosnica dive up the inside of him to demote him to 6th, while Spork took advantage to pass Sander Kallas for 7th. Up front, Hoyer used DRS on lap 2 to immediately snatch the lead from Siebel, but then there was a disaster behind as Roberto Pignataro punted Robin Panzer around, where he was then collected by his teammate Tom Oldermenger and Ivan Leonov. The two NetRex P1s of Roivers and Vosnica swapped positions as Kallas uses soft tyres to overcome Spork on the mediums. Then it was Dennis Jordan's turn, as he too used his soft tyres to get alongside Spork into the Rettifilio. Spork attempted to hold on, but found himself on the outside for Curva Grande as Zolt Zux slipstreamed Jordan to demote Spork back down to 10th. Zux then continued the battle on the following lap by passing Jordan down the main straight, and it got worse for Red Bull as Damien Skovron cleared Siebel to make it a burst 1-2. Kallas had caught Roivers and the Dutchman put up little resistance on his mediums against the ground effect car. Pignataro then compounded his frustrations by hitting the wall at Della Roggia, severely bending his steering. Zux had to fight for control as he went wide on the exit of Parabolica, opening the door for Jordan to get back through. Spork saw an opportunity as Zux defended on the inside, but the two cars made contact at the Rettifilio, with Spork coming out on top. Roivers was the first to pit on lap 14, with Kallas responding a lap later. Zux repassed Spork for 7th, as the Dutchman's tough opening stint continued. Meanwhile, Michi Hoyer relinquished the lead to his teammate Skovron just before coming into the pits to switch to medium tyres. Spork then had a scary moment as Zux dropped it in front of him at Parabolica. The Hungarian avoided the championship leader but not the wall as his rear wing was ripped off. Vosnica had pit right behind Hoyer, but Roivers was fighting back against Kallas now that he had switched to soft tyres, and he made it through past the Estonian. Hoyer was making his way through the drivers that had stayed out, going all the way around the outside of Ivanov, and Vosnica made a similarly straightforward move using the DRS on the way into Ascari, as Roivers did likewise to van den Eet. Braksok had pit and come out at the tail end of the front runners, following Kallas past the yet-to-stop van den Eet. Skovron then pit from the lead on lap 20 for a set of softs, at the same time as Roivers went around the outside of Ivanov into turn 1. Skovron emerged just behind the pair of them, but wasted no time hanging around, immediately getting alongside Ivanov through Curva Grande and throwing up a shower of sparks as he passed him on the inside. Next up for the Polish driver was Roivers, who he breezed past using the DRS into Ascari. Siebel then pit for his own set of softs, and he re-emerged into the race behind Roivers but ahead of Braksok, who had just cleared Ivanov. Skovron then passed the second NetRex P1 of Vosnica in the exact same way as he did Roivers. Siebel decided to mix it up a bit though, passing Roivers on the inside at Parabolica as the Dutchman lit up his rear tyres. Colin Spork was running long and found himself a sitting duck for Hoyer, who retook second position. Siebel then breezed past Vosnica for 5th, putting pressure onto the burst team. The Danish squad could not afford to have their drivers holding each other up, so Hoyer allowed Skovron through into second place. The two championship contenders then went wheel to wheel, but on fresher tyres there was no doubt that Siebel would come out on top over Spork. Lauren Kiersmakers tried to do a double overtake on his teammate Jake Denahan and van den Eet into Parabolica, but he just lost the back end mid-corner, sending the Belgian into the barriers and out of the race. Vosnica pulled alongside Spork down the start-finish straight in a tense battle that would have run on and on throughout the second half of the race. Roivers had made a second stop for softs and cleared van den Eet, but Jordan dipped a wheel onto the gravel at Lesmo 1, allowing Skovron to go up the inside at Lesmo 2 and retake the lead. Hoyer followed him through approaching Parabolica as Jordan finally pit for softs after a monster 33-lap stint on the mediums. Hoyer responded the following lap, switching to the soft tyre and emerging a second ahead of Jordan. Spork utilised the DRS to repass Voznica for 9th, but then Skovron braked too late for the pit entry, earning himself a stop-and-go penalty and destroying an otherwise strong race. Callas and Siebel then pit, with the Red Bull pulling on another set of soft tyres and just coming out in front of Roivers. The Netrex driver made a third stop, as Skovron mistakenly served a drive-through instead of a stop-and-go, leading to a bitty and unlucky disqualification. Hoyer now found himself under attack from Jordan with 7 laps to go, the pair using DRS to exchange a lead down the main straight. A few laps later, Hoyer repaid the favour, as Siebel slowly began to catch the both of them. With 3 laps to go, Jordan allowed Siebel past on his fresher tyres, and there was now nothing Hoyer could do as Siebel used the DRS on him through the run into Ascari to come up the inside and retake the lead of the Italian Grand Prix. Jordan now attempted to go around the outside of Hoyer at the Rettifilio chicane, but the burst driver held his line and once again had to defend from Jordan going into Della Roggia, with the lead agonisingly just out of reach. Jordan had one last chance to pass on the final lap and switched to the inside to move up to second place. He was very lucky though, as Hoyer narrowly avoided sliding into his fellow countryman. In the battle for 4th, Spork struck back on the final lap to overcome Voznica before backing him into Braxock and Callas, who moved about in each other's wing mirrors but did not change positions. The day belonged to Siebel though, who took his 3rd career victory and led Jordan home for the 2nd Red Bull 1-2 of the season. Jordan's excellent tyre saving meant he overcame a disappointed Hoyer for 2nd. Spork put in a crafty recovery drive to 4th to just pit Voznica, Braxock and Callas. Roivers lost time with his extra pit stop and finished 8th, ahead of Ivanov who passed Van den Eet at the final corner for 9th. Denahan took his best result yet with 11th on his return, beating Zux, Pansar, Oldermenga, Pignataro and Leonov, with Kirsmakers crashing out and Skovron's brilliant drive coming undone due to that speeding penalty and disqualification. Colin Spork's lead in the Drivers' Championship has been cut to just 24 points after another win for Alex Siebel with just 3 rounds remaining. Roivers is a distant 3rd, as Jordan retakes 4th from Voznica. The next round will be at the Principality in the Côte d'Azur on the 17th of July. Can Siebel keep up the pressure on Spork? Tune in to find out. From me, Edward Hunter, and from the Temple of Speed, it's goodbye.